Oh, welcome back. Sorry about that. I let my emotions get the better of me. It's just that she and I are of an age, and we neither of us one thing or another. I can't help but feel like she's my problem to solve. The capacity to experience such visions of the past had always seemed to me to be the most desirable talent, but I see now that it is as much as a burden as a blessing. I don't know what we solved. I don't know that we solved anything exactly, but we've given Fredola something to think about at least. I found something new to think about too. I don't know about you, Edgar, but the visions only come to me every now and then. From the way Fredola keeps wincing, though, I get the feeling that she's having them almost all the times. That's a lot of bad memories to deal with. I wonder, could that be some fundamental difference between one who is born with the echo and one who has been artificially imbued with it? Well, the immortal flames have been scouring the research facility ever since the liberation. There's a chance they might have some answers for us. General Aldin, there's overseeing the investigation. Let's go and pay him a visit, shall we? Oh, and I don't know if there was a symbol on the back of her jerkin in the cutscene, because it kind of looked like there was a symbol from Heaven's Ward on the back of her jerkin. General Den is inside. Aye, will you be joining him? Then again, it just might have been just a generic symbol. So many bodies. They should burn this place to the ground and be done with it. We received a request from the Alliance to analyze these devices, and I've been recording everything of interest. Seeing this facility, I am reminded of what they did to Cryo. Come on, let's talk to Raban. What news? You spoke with Fredola, I take it? Yes, I suspected. She didn't say very much, but it wasn't a total waste of time. Arvo noticed something odd about her. He thinks she might be having visions almost constantly, which is not how the Echo normally works. Have you found anything which might explain why it's so different for her? We've been hard-pressed just to organize the research material, let alone study them. To be frank, I'd welcome the Scion's expert assistance if you have time to lend a hand. So many bodies, every one of them a victim of these experiments. Few show a sign of external injury. From what we've been able to determine, they perish from forcible ether extraction. Such a miserable way to die. The device in which Kral was held seems much more ominous now you knew its purpose. The surrounding pods are marked supply subject, while this one appears to be labeled master subject. Everyone received a request from the Ironworks to analyze these devices, and I've been recording everything of interest. Did you notice the labeling? All of the pods are designed to drain the ether of the occupant, save that one right there. I'd like to notice the interior has been fitted with an array of sensors to measure their waveforms. Well, purpose over, I cannot tell you. I know little and less of science, so any light you could shed on this facility's operation would be much appreciated, Edgar. Shall we start with you? Taken in combination with the testimonies of Kryl and Thancred, I do believe to see exactly what the Imperials were attempting here. The enhancement process entails infusing a single candidate with ether siphoned from a multitude of supply subjects. As for the master subject, in this case Kryl, the pattern of her etheric activity would provide the model upon which they would artificially engineer the candidate's aura. In other words, they were trying to recreate Kryl's echo. I believe so, which would explain our prisoner's present state. Kryl is possessed of an unrivaled ability to hear the whispers of the soul, and it seems probable that the procedures engendered the same acute sensitivity in Fordola. The soldiers who were guarding Fordola, many of them lost friends and family to the skulls, and there are sentries at the door heard day and night if she can't help sensing their thoughts and seeing their past. But you don't just see their past, you live it. At all the emotions, all the pain. Imagine what it did to you. You never be the same again. Indeed, as you may recall, Isil was completely transformed by a single glimpse of Hesrogol's past. Fordola has been forced to experience the agony of those who lives she destroyed. The guilt must be unbearable. That explains her request to be executed. Sounds to me like a kind of justice. Regardless, she can suffer on for now. We have more pressing matters to consider. If the results of these experiments have been relayed back to Garlemald, there will be not to stop the Empire from repeating the trick. They could give the echo to anyone, to an entire legion. We must be ready. We must learn all we can of the godforsaken processes. And Fordola remains our best source of information. She'll not be getting her wish, not yet. Right. Keep faith, lass. If you're to convince others to follow, you must believe what you're telling them. People will respond to passion, but not if it's feigned. I understand. Thank you, General. We should leave the flames to it. Let's go. I go looking for answers, but the echo end up getting schooled by Raban. Yet more evidence that I don't know what I'm doing. It's no wonder people listen to him and not me. General Alden is a veteran of countless campaigns, Lise. You cannot compare yourself to a commander of his experience. I know, but I always know that I couldn't have convinced that mob to give up and go home. It makes me realize how much we rely on his authority and how much I still have to learn. I wonder what he'll do when everything here is settled. I mean, it is his homeland. After going to the trouble of winning it back, might he not want to stay? There's a country which countless refugees now face to continue their life built in Urla or start again in the land of their birth. Edgar, a moment. I am newly returned from Ul'dah with a message from the Sultana. Her Grace desires an audience with you. She understands that you have responsibilities here, but asks that you visit the palace at your earliest convenience. Oh, I must away and attend to other business. Until next time, my friends. And always with the Sultana, depending on the nature of her consultations, this might be the perfect opportunity to inquire about the General's future plans. Yes, we're all like to know about those, Alphino, but not everyone's as comfortable interrogating royalty as you. Take no notice of him, Edgar. Hold on a sec. There we go. Pandora was opening the curtain with her foot. Determination and spell speed, no. Piety and critical hit, no. Spell speed and piety, no. I guess we'll take this one. The determination one. But the question of how to put the magic structure to good use shows no sign of answering itself. Shall we be about it, Arvold? I am at your beck and call, and I should be getting back to my tasks. I organize a squad to head down into the ruins, and then start preparing for the big meeting. Oh, and send Nomino my regards, Edgar. And ours too, if you please. We shall see you on your return. Also, I've stopped the timer because I remembered how this quest line goes, and I'd rather just complete this little portion of the quest in one going, since I remember how this quest goes. You're expected, my lord. Please proceed.
I thank you for answering my summons in these most interesting times. You have been busy. The liberation of Alamigo will have far-reaching consequences, and there is a matter upon which I would seek your counsel. I speak of Rauban and his future. All know the tale of his rise from penniless refugee to member of the Syndicate and General of the Immortal Flames. Yet though he has come to call Uldar home, it will never be his homeland. He is a son of Alamigo. And now that she is free, I thought it only a matter of time before he sought my leave to return to her. Indeed, I had resigned myself to his loss. Suffice it to say, I was greatly surprised to hear him speak so lightly of handing over the reins in Alamigo and retaking his place at my side. I will welcome him with open arms, of course. He is my most trusted advisor and my dearest friend. But I have known the man a long time, and beneath that steely gaze, I spied a flicker of doubt. Whether Rauban chooses to remain in Uldar or return to Alamigo, I only wish that he do so with a heart unburdened by guilt or regret. Yet, how can he freely make such a choice, knowing how much I depend on him? It is past time that I learned to discharge my duties as a sultana alone. I must go forth and see my realm with my own eyes, and hear the wind with my own ears. Might I have your company for a brief adventure? Wonderful. Allow me a moment to change into something a touch less conspicuous, and I will join you outside.
Pandora. Yeah, I know when you're doing that. You stick your foot right out. Perchance you remember Lyria, the merchant's daughter. This is the persona I assume when I venture beyond the palace walls to observe my subjects unnoticed. Ordinarily, Papa Sean would accompany, but for this particular outing, I need an advisor, not a minder. And that is why I requested your company over the course of your many adventures. You have met people from all walks of life in every corner of Eorzea, and I would make use of your worldly expertise. Now let us be on our way. Our first destination is Stone's Throw, just beyond the Gate of Nald. I want to use the ether instead of walking 5 feet. Look upon this protrusion of shattered tents, these refugee camps in squalor, at the mercy of the elements and Thanalan's predators both. The city's mighty walls offer safety, but the streets overflow with people as it is, and unless blessed by the hand of Nald himself, no refugee could ever hope to afford a dwelling in Ul'dah. 20 years have passed since the fall of Alamigo, and 5 since the calamity, and the plight of the poor have grown more desperate, not less. As Sultana, the blame falls upon me. Yes, my authority is limited, and that is an obstacle I must work to overcome. Shall we press on? I would follow the road to the unholy air. It was here in this wholly unremarkable place that my mother and father met their doom. I was but a child at the time my parents were returning from an inspection of our interests in East Thanalan when an untimely rockside crushed their carriage. To this day, it is not certain if it was an incident, was simply misfortune, or an expertly planned assassination. Roban once offered to reopen the investigation and bring me the truth he assumed I must surely crave, but I refused. Even if my parents' death were orchestrated by the monarchists, we could only have brought their hirelings to justice. The true villains, those who plotted to put me on the throne as a babbling puppet, were ever beyond our reach. Thus did I plan to strip the merchants of their power and place our nation in the hands of its citizens. Quite unaware of the consequences my actions would have for you and yours, I shudder to think how many goodly souls paid the price for my naivety. But I am no longer a child reciting the words with witless obedience, and I will not be used as a pawn in the monarch's damnable games. Forgive me my outbursts. You are one of the few people to whom I feel I can speak my mind. Come, let us return to Ul'dah and visit the Colosseum. Another flight back. Gladiators Guild. From the moment I became Sultana, I found myself thrust into an endless parade of documents, singing, and ceremonies. For years, I've simply signed where I was told to sign and sat where I was told to sit, blissfully oblivious to what any of it meant. Yet one good thing did come from that enormous chapter of my life, for it was during an official visit to the Colosseum that I first met Raban. The match I had been invited to attend was not at all what I expected. They were pitting the Bull of El Amigo against some dozen or so rival gladiators. Blinkered though I would not stand for so obviously an injustice, and demanded to see a fair fight, one man against another, and my royal wish was duly granted. It was not later until I learned of the gambling ring which I had arranged for Raban to die on the sands that day. Regardless, my intervention meant that Raban had but a single opponent to dispatch, which he dutifully did, and when he knelt before me to receive the winner's purse, he swore that he would one day offer me his blade in service. Surrounded as I was by liars and manipulators, I confess I dismissed it as a pleasant piece of theater. But as you know, Raban is a man of his word. Though it took him another 5 years of fighting on the blood sands, he amassed a fortune so great as to buy not only his freedom but a seat on the syndicate. And then I had my blade.
You mustn't! The danger is too great! Please, Your Grace, come back! I beg of you!
It seems you're the one who needs looking after, Master Sham. Raban!
Your Grace, I have kept the promise made.
So you have, and in turn, so too shall I keep mine. With your winnings, you have become one of the 6 most wealthy souls in all Uldar, and so, as tradition dictates, Rauben Aldin, you have earned yourself a seat on the Syndicate. May your new station garner you still greater glories.
I am honored, Your Grace, and vow to serve with every fiber of my being from this day till my last. Long live the Sultana, and long live Uldar!
I'm just gonna express what that man means to me. There are others who care deeply for my well-being. Of course, Papa Sean's love for me is as that of a grandsire for his grandchild. But upon matters of governance, I cannot turn to bodyguards and maidservants for counsel. Raban, with the authority of his syndicate position, was the first sword I could wield. His was the only edge which could cut the strings that bound me. We must make haste. My absence will not go unnoticed by the Sultan Sworn for long, and there are other places I would visit. To the Arzeth Ossuary. Is that the Thaumaturge Guild? Yep, it's the Thaumaturge. When the calamity threatened, Raban led the Alliance forces into battle on the plains of Karshino, and I remained here. I prayed with all my heart that Archon Louis Sois would have the power to rouse the 12. Since that day, I have made a custom of visiting this shrine. During each of my little excursions here, I seek the blessing of Thal, reflect upon my choices, and ask him if I am fulfilling my duties as Sultana. You are rightly celebrated as a champion because you have lead the line in 100 battles for the good of Eorzea. In many the same way, I believe the measure of a monarch lies in how she leads her people in times of adversity. If I am to be a Sultana worthy of the name, I cannot turn a blind eye to the trouble facing Uldar. I have chosen my path, Edgar. With Alamigo now freed from imperial chains, I finally see a way to aid the refugees. Already many displaced Alamegans seek to begin the long trek home. To facilitate the process, I have made a small contribution, an artisan school in Rolkers Reach, for any who wish to learn new trades. Realistically, however, it will take years for such training to yield actionable benefits. But we do not have years. There's people who need shelter and employment. If they are to survive this time, the Uldar's treasury shall provide. As I swear and how I allocate necessary funds is, of course, another question. A wise physician may have a visit to the Gold Saucers in order. Its proprietor is a member of the Syndicate, and he is one of the few who pay refugees a fair wage. I wonder, are you acquainted with Godbert Mandeville? Then I need not explain his erratic nature. Let us make our way to the landing, and I will see that the word is sent. And I will see that word is sent to the Gold Saucer. Godbert should be only too glad to receive us. Oh, we actually have to go to the landing. I thought we could just use the Aetheryte to get there and meet her at that landing. I have ridden aboard a public airship before, but this shall be my first visit to the Gold Saucer. I must confess to some excitement. Oh yeah, I have the thing for where I don't see cutscenes again if I've already seen them. I forgot about that. Unless there isn't a cutscene for leaving Ul'dah airship. I thought there was. I had heard descriptions of its splendor, yet I never dreamed it would be so bright and inviting. No, I couldn't possibly. We did not come here to fritter away the royal coin. Garbert will be expecting us. Come, let us head directly to the lounge and ignore these gaudy temptations. To be fair, the only thing I do here is the card games and the second floor. I don't really do the events that they do here or play Mahjong. Or the other things, except for Crystal Tower Striker. And the basketball one. I only really play the mini games. Since unlike in Dragon Quest, there's no slot machines here. I believe this is where we are to meet Lord Mandeville. Shall we sit while we await his coming? My apologies, Your Grace. I have kept you waiting. No apologies are necessary, Godbert. Oh, he's wearing pants! Alright, there we go, Godbert. My request was setting, and you were kind to make yourself available at such short notice. When the intrepid Edgar, Magic, and the Sultana herself come calling, there is no more important engagement. As the purpose of my visit, I would have you have your thought on how the Crown might best aid the refugees residing in Thanalan. You are aware, I am sure, that many Amigos displaced sons and daughters long to return their newly liberated home, and you are also aware of how they will suffer without shelter and work to sustain them. I would use our nation's wealth to spare them their suffering. What advice would you have for me that the matter of how it might best be distributed? The unusual circumstances of our meetings and your gracious choice of companion, which suggests to me a dire of an honest and unvarnished opinion, I shall give you one. My advice to you is stop. Taxing Ul'dah's wealth to stop. To save Alamegan refugees is a terrible, terrible idea. You oppose my proposition. Most emphatically, I agree with your grace that the refugees must have housing and employment, but what profit is there for Ul'dah in this arrangement? Profit, after all you've done for Yerebanese displaced. I thought you would be the very last person to seek the benefit from their misfortune. Forgive me, your grace, but you appear to be laboring under a misapprehension. It is a fine endeavor to support one's fellow man. I fear, however, that your stance is one born of pity. Your intent to save the refugees, is it not? For all our potential, we are indolent creatures by nature. If unconditional charity is all we know, we will begin to rely upon it to expect it. And when we must consider Ul'dah's own poor and downtrodden, should they hear about your spending the nation's coin, not to improve their lot, but to nurture the citizens of Alamigo, it is unlikely they will applaud your generosity. Surely it is not your gracious intention to foster new resentment, but to spread goodwill. Indeed, then any support I pledge to the refugees must promote self-sufficiency, whilst also serving the interest of the people of Ul'dah. Exactly so. Such an arrangement will create a far more equitable relationship with the returning Alamegans, even as it generates the revenue required to win the appeal of your subjects. You have given me much to ponder, Lord Manville. I thank you for your candor. I remember the dialogue going a bit differently. One of the things mentioning Edgar being his son's friend. Well, your character's son's friend. Critical, direct, determination, critical, direct. Okay, I guess we'll just go for this leaf one. Profit. The thought never even crossed my mind, but standing about lamenting my naivety will not do any good. I shall consider my lesson learned and press on. Edgar, are you perchance acquainted with any successful merchants? If my attempt at philanthropy is obligated to reap a profit, it would seem wise to consult someone with a knack for business. Only I would not trust any agent of the East Alnid Trading Company, but if you hold this Hancock fellow in high esteem, I am content to be led by you. You may repay my faith by journeying to distant Gone and speak with him on my behalf. Eager though I am to visit those shores, I have not the leisure for a lengthy sea voyage. Now, assuming you will travel as adventurers are wont to do, I shall await your report by the Aetheryte in Ul'dah. A fair journey to you, Edgar, and a swift one, if you please. Oh, it's Roland! Welcome, Undergrads, to the Man of the Village, but from Master Cobalt, we shall do all in our power to see that stay in a pleasant one. I didn't know you could actually, he was actually around here, to be honest. Because I only saw him in the initial cutscene you get when you get to the Gold Saucer, and I haven't seen him since. Other than in card form. Right now, honored sir, will you be entering yada yada? Edgar, to what do I owe the pleasure, or are you here on business? I beg your pardon, Her Grace, the Sultana would have an opinion on how best to invest the wealth of Ul'dah. My dear Edgar, I have you to thank for this recognition. I am sure, and I am flattered that you would come to me, truly flattered. But why settle for a lowly apprentice when you could have the master upon matters of profit? There is no living soul better qualified than to advise Her Grace than Chairman Lodorito, a man whose morning exertions are said to fill his Gorable with gold. I should be happy to arrange a meeting for you, say at the Scion's former headquarters in Thanalan. The Waking Sands would seem a favorable neutral venue for negotiations. Don't you think? Fare you well, Edgar, and may you dealings prove fruitful. Time to lose another 1,000 gold. Look about it, did your merchant friend have any useful advice to share? with Lolorito, and you agreed to this? I am aware of his standing in the field of business, but I had hoped to keep the monarchists at arm's length, and him in particular. Nay, I cannot live in fear of the man. I must learn how to treat with him if I am to rule Ul'dah efficiently. Very well, I will meet with Lolorito. Let us go on ahead to the Waking Sands and prepare for his coming. So does Edgar need to walk? Nope, he's just getting a free ride there. So this is where the Scions first congregated. I have heard many tales, but never had occasion to visit. To work then, the hour of the meeting draws near, and I would gather my thoughts. Pray seek that we have the appointed room to ourselves.
A personal summons from the Scions. This must be important business indeed. Though, if it concerns anything so underhand as an assassination, I fear I can be of little help. You have made your point. 'Tis indeed unsettling to find oneself seated across from an impassive mask. There, would this better please your grace? Or should I address you as Lady Lilira? Hmm?
Nay, the deception has served its purpose. I am glad to see you found amusement in my little jest, Lord Lolorito, but shall we proceed to the business at hand?
By all means. I must say I am most eager to hear your proposal.
Simply put, I would aid the refugees camped in Thanalan in their efforts to return to Alamigo. The reparations you paid in the wake of your earlier misdemeanors will be used to fund the endeavor, together with the fortune seized from the late Teleji Adeleji's estate. But this plan is not intended to benefit the displaced alone. I would make of this an investment which shall enrich Ul'dah and Alamigo both. And who better to consult on matters of profit than the wealthiest man in all of Thanalan? I beseech you then, Lord Lolorito, share with us your mercantile wisdom.
Ah, 'twould seem your grace has matured beyond acts of earnest yet misplaced charity. Pray tell me more. To summarize, in return for facilitating the repatriation of refugees and assisting in the establishment of new industry in Alamigo, you ask that a proportion of all subsequent profits be promised to Ul'dah. Huh, I am impressed, Your Grace. 'Tis an elegant solution, albeit one lacking certain crucial details, specifically which industry and where.
How swiftly you identified the weakness in my plan, just as I knew you would. Your travels have taken you across the length and breadth of Gir Abania, and you know the land far better than I. Which of the settlements you visited would best provide a home for our refugees? Which has the greatest potential to flourish, given the appropriate investment?
Yes, that desolate little village on the shore of Loch Seld. I know the Sultry and its products well. The Imperial invasion brought an end to their more widespread distribution, much to the dismay of many a wealthy gourmand, myself included. Salt has ever been a transformative ingredient, and in this instance, I dare say, it could transform a modicum of effort into a mountain of gil.
The local citizens will need to be consulted, of course, but I trust the East Aldenar Trading Company can be relied upon to provide its assistance in negotiating a mutually beneficial arrangement.
Naturally, Your Grace. I shall dispatch representatives well versed in the extraction of this white gold and wring every last ounce of profit from its production. The Loch's bounty will contribute to Alamigo's enrichment, whilst easing the burden on the bull's aching shoulders, just as Your Grace desired.
A deal is struck then.
I fear it will be many years before I feel comfortable taking part in such negotiations, but I shall not complain. You have piqued Lord Rito's interest and secured his invaluable expertise. Thank you, Edgar. I could not have done it without you. And the dialogue is different depending on what you choose, but it always ends with, I think, the salt place. Course, our courses aside, I shall return to the palace and have my ministers begin work on implementing the particulars of the plan. If I could prevail upon one more time, Edgar, I would ask you convey the details of our negotiation to Commander Hext. On your return to Alamigo. Why, thanks again. Together we have laid the groundworks for an endeavor which promises to benefit the people of Alamigo and Ul'dah both. Yeah. Yeah. They're all bunched up together. Greetings, Edgar. I'm actually in the middle of reporting to the commander here, so... In your absence, I have kept myself busy cataloging the rich of the Mad King's troves and calculating its worth in guild. I have some way to go, but the figure is quite staggering. Welcome back, Edgar. How was your audience with the Sultana? Edgar, you're back. What did... no. Oh, sorry. Are you allowed to talk about your audience with the Sultana? So, Raban says he's going to return to Ul'dah, and she isn't sure he wants to. Tell us something we don't know. But I'm pleased to hear she's committed to helping our refugees come home. And this plan to revitalize the Sultry does make a lot of sense. Quite how you convinced her to seek Lorito's help is another question. After all that has happened, he was the very last person I would expect her to turn to for advice. But one more practical note, Lise. Assuming the interim government elects to accept Ul'dah's proposal, I have one caveat I should like you to include in the bargain. Alamigo must be permitted to cover a portion of the investment. We have a fortune at our disposal after all, and allowing Ul'dah to provide the entirety of the capital will afford Lorito too much control. Honestly, off note, it's like Kagone never happened. What exactly does a ruthless profiteer have to do to earn your trust? But yes, you do make a good point. First things first, though, we need to discuss the proposal with the Sultry's residents. Whiskar, how do you fancy explaining the Sultana's plan to your grandfather? I'd like to hear what Watt thinks of the idea before agreeing to anything. Right away, Commander. Would you mind coming along, Edgar? I might need you to fill in the details. Then I shall come as well. Should Watt wish to discuss figures, my knowledge of the nation's finances may prove useful. Let's see if we can fly high enough to get over the wall. We can! I always forget if you can or can't most of the time. I do wonder why they didn't just tear down the rest of the statue like that. Just tear it all down. Considering there's only like half of it left. As well as some of these pillars. And again, these pillars might actually have a use other than just being pillars. What matter of mischief brings you youngins to old Watt this time, eh? They want to rebuild the Sultry, Granddad. Edgar, tell him about the deal. Well, bugger me, we've never had the coin or the hands to put the place back to how it was, but it sounds like that's about to change. There's just one small wrinkle in your plan. It doesn't account for all the nasties queuing up to eat anyone who goes near the shore. The king used to send the soldiers to call the buggers, but the Imperials weren't about to help the likes of us. Don't worry, Granddad, we'll take care of all that. Commander Hex has been talking about starting up regular patrols, and I'm sure she'll assign me to the lock if I ask. I preach that, Whisker, my lad. Surely I would. So, does this mean you've gotten better with that blade of yours? I've been trying, but mostly to kill Imperials. You've some experience hunting monsters, don't you, Edgar? Think you could cast an eye over a few of the local beasties and teach me how to deal with them, eh? Let's not waste any time then. I'll see you by the lock. While this you are busy attending to the local fauna, I shall have Master Watt explain to me exactly what is required to restore the Sultry to its former glory. Good hunting. I would rather have you come help us, Alphado. Whisker might die. Alright then, Edgar. I've got a spy class here you can use to take a closer look at those pests. Once you've got their measure, you can tell me what to do and, well, see how well I get on. Doop, 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 doop. What am I looking for? The Yama's entire body is protected by a hard carapace, but the underside of the head looks soft and vulnerable. Looks like you found a Yabi. They say hitting their shells like smacking a rock. Any suggestions? Hey, just hit it as hard as you can. Aim for the soft underside of the head. Vulnerable under the head. Are they? Right then. Wish me luck. We'll make you into a monster hunter. I'll get you your own little companion eventually. Thanks, Edgar. I did just as you told me, and the wave can went down like a sack of popotos. Let's find something else. Oh, that's supposed to be the Destroyer and the Ruiner. I don't know who the Ruiner is. I know who the Destroyer is. There's the Yubbies now, so we try something different. What else is out there? There's a Sprite. There's the, I was about to say, the Mudman. There's also fishies. The vessel's hands are large and powerful, but destroying its crystallized core should render the salt golem inanimate. You sense powerful power pulsating from behind its brow. A Phobat. How do I defeat one of those? Just hit it really, really hard. As hard as you can. Inside its head, it is. Is it? I'll try to stab it right through the eyes then. Oh, my nose squishy. He's deflated it. Who knew the head was just a balloon? It's not easy fighting with the Liberator of Alamigo watching every move. But I got the job done. Thanks for the advice, Edgar. I feel a lot better prepared for my patrols now. Any road, we should head back to the Sultry before Granddad starts to worry. I've been snipping into pieces and fed to Yaba's hatchlings. So you returned in one piece, dealt with those beasties, and did ya? I fought them myself after a bit of instruction from Edgar here. Like, once I've shared what I've learned with the others, we should have no trouble keeping the shoreline clear. Good lad, a fine young man you become, Whiskar. A fine young man indeed. Too often of late I hear tales of folks over in the city, drunk on victory and hungry for revenge, their heads stuck firmly in the past. But we need to set our sights on the future, on thinking, which will prove our lots. Things like getting the Sultry ready to welcome our long lost countrymen. Blissful arrival. Seems Whiskar has the Sultry secured, well in hand. I, meanwhile, have discussed the next step with Master Watt and completed my inspection of the site. With a little work, the vacant buildings could be made into very presentable dwellings. Message from General Alden. Apologies for the interruption, sir, but the General would speak with you at your earliest convenience. Do not feel obligated to wait around. On my account, I will remain here to hammer out the finer details with Watt and act as an intermediary with our business partners in Ul'dah. You should go. General Alden asks that you wait for him by the main gates in Alamigo quarters. My apologies again, sir. Fare you well. Yeah, I just want to get the. I think you could do all this part in one go.
Apologies for the wait. People are screaming for the butcher's blood again. No sooner have we broken up one mob than another forms. Thankfully, all have been amenable to reason, thus far. But it is no concern of yours. We must speak of the men Arenvald and his comrades apprehended in the peaks.
By their uniforms, the captives were first judged to be Imperial troops. But after further investigation, their true identities came to light.
Ah, it's Dumb and Dumbass.
I dare say you remember Yuyuhasi and Laurentius, the fugitives who conspired with Captain Ilberd in the Crystal Brave's betrayal.
Yeah, Dumb who wanted profit, and Dumbass who was the one that we've already apprehended before.
Aye, well, it would seem they followed him all the way to the wall. It was they who orchestrated the slaughter of the resistance fighters prior to the Griffin's infernal ritual.
Were it in your hands, how would you punish these men? You would spare these animals. Yours is a more merciful brand of justice than mine. In any event, I thank you for your honesty. When the time comes for the Alliance to pass judgment, I'll see that your opinion is heard.
Edgar knows there's fate's worse than death.
Well, that concludes our business here. But there is more I would say. Walk with me.
Bless, their deaths don't give Edgar any more coin.
I bear a share of the blame for Ilberd's atrocities. Had I openly supported the cause of Alamegan liberation, he might not have felt driven to do what he did. Things could have been different, and I'm sorry they aren't. But even after all that has happened, my homeland is free. With the Scions and the Alliance at their side, my countrymen have reclaimed what many thought lost forever. Under her new leadership, I have every confidence that Alamigo will emerge from the shadow of the Empire and rise once more to greatness. Which means my work here is done. Soon I will return to Uldar and take my place at the Sultana's side.
Father...
I'll not deny there's a part of me that wants to stay.
Good news then! We made you some cement shoes!
The same part that contemplated renouncing my rank and joining you as a wandering sellsword. But I pledged my blade to Nanamo, and I will not betray that oath.
Is this truly what you want, Father?
It is. Ever has my sword been hers to command, and ever shall it remain.
Too bad you gave your sword to, Your son. So now he's here, Blade.
Thank you for lending an ear. When all the rest are clamoring for me to stay, I trust you'll send me on my way.
Oh, hi, Ardenvold. How long have you been here? I was just on my way to the sultry. It's lucky I saw you. Well, Pippin is her blade now. That took longer than I intended, but at least you know where I stand. Now that's settled. Arvin, what's news? We may have a problem, sir. A group of Anarta has arrived in the main gate, and it don't mean the Vera. These are Kalana and the ones that summoned the Primal. They're insisting that they be allowed to attend the council. Lisa's trying to reason with them, but she may need help. An invitation was extended to all of the native beast tribes, but we assumed the Kalana would refuse it out of hand. We had best go and see for ourselves. Pippin, take command of our forces and be ready for battle. Edgar, you deal with these Kalana before. I have you at my side. Oh. It's all the way over there. I thought it would have been somewhere like over here. Edgar, Raban, gods, it's good to see you. The Slayer has come. We have not forgotten how you sinned against the Lady of Bliss, but we did not come here to shed blood. You claim to seek harmony with all who dwell Kalgir Banyanhome. If this is truly your wish, you will welcome us as envoys of the Anata. It is our wish, and you are welcome, but we cannot condone the summoning of primals. If you want to enter the palace, I must ask that you first surrender any crystal jewelry. You have my word that it will be returned to you when the meeting is over. We will do as you ask, but you will not have our weapons. We are not so foolish as to place ourselves entirely at the mercies of our tormentors. I reckon that's the closest we're going to get to a compromise, and we will have people standing guard. I let them keep their swords. Then we have an agreement. Lead the way to your meeting chamber. Why do I have the feeling we've welcomed a Viper into our midst? Dancer. This Koana Elder's intentions seemed at odds with what we know of her tribe. What do you think, Edgar? As I said, that once a creature has fallen under this wave of primal, there is no salvation, and I strongly doubt that the Koana have suddenly broken free of Lakshmi's will. Whatever the truth, I would take no chances. The guards must be strengthened, and ideally with people who know a two of thing about primals. Can we rely on the scions? I'll wind up our comrades and send them to Alamigo's quarters. Alamigan quarters. You can go on ahead if you like, Edgar. My thanks. I will see you in the palace. Yeah, we'll do this last quest and then I'll call it. Because I think this should be the last quest for the Sultana. Oh, and this little Sultana line. Edgar, I've brought reinforcements. Arva told me of the arrival of our unexpected guests, and I agreed that it would be prudent to call upon your Stoll and Thancred as well. One can never be too careful when dealing with the enthralled. I'm not familiar with the Quatala tribe myself, but the Alizé report suggested that they shunned contact with other races despite it, in fact, even in compared to other Antana. Indeed, this apparent reversal of their attitude is most curious. No one expected a response in our invitation, much less an envoy. I imagine Lise was forced to make some rather hasty arrangements in order to accommodate them. Speaking of which, how should we deploy ourselves? In the meeting, it is to be held in the throne room. 'Twas seen wise to have both inside and outside the palace. Yashul and I shall stand guard without. That leaves the three of you to keep watch over proceedings in the throne room itself. Understood. We should join General Alden inside then. Edgar, do you know of the rear entrance to the palace? It's on the eastern side of the city, at the top of the stairs. The guard there should have been instructed to let us pass. Are the scions, sir? General Alden left orders that you were to be escorted inside if you follow me.
Thank you all for coming. I am Lise Hext, and I speak for the Resistance. Among you are village elders, refugee leaders, envoys from the Ananta and the Kikern. You've come from every corner of Girabania to help decide the future of Alamigo. But before that, I want to ask you a question. What was the first thing you noticed when you came in? For me, it was that empty throne. It has no one to sit on it now. No viceroy, no king. Would any of you like to take their place? Or should someone else sit there? Then let's sit here in a circle. As equals, and I hope, as friends.
Expertly done. Lys has removed monarchy as a choice early in the game, and positioned them to consider a joint government. All things considered, I would say events have got off to a fine start.
Off now. Shut up. Every time you speak, something horrible happens.
And that is Alagana's stance on the matter.
Thank you, Ragenfred. Another vote in favor. Next, let's hear from Shanti of the Kaliana. Tell us, how do your people feel about the idea of a republic?
The Ananta wish only that those who dwell within Gir Abania devote themselves to our faith. You shall all worship Sri Lakshmi! Lady of Bliss, grace us once more with your beauteous visage!
This can't be happening. No crystals were allowed through the door.
We can worry about the how of it later. We need to evacuate these people right now, or the Primal will make thralls of them all.
It's up to us.
They even have the same death cries as the snake people from the Sky Place. And I wonder if they can enthrall a void scent.
Gods damn it! The guards were already turned! Fools!
No, you don't!
The Kaliana would see us all enthralled.
Then they're going to be sorely disappointed. We have the Warrior of Light and Arenvold to shield us.
Aye, but they can't well defend your guests and attack the Primal, can they? We're stuck on the back foot.
All right, I think I have an idea. Keep these people safe, General. I'll be back as soon as I can.
Ah, whatever she's about, she'd best make it quick. Come then. Who will be next to die on my steel?
Where's your Shnola and Thancred? How about we do the fight, we fight her without leaving our allies wide open. We can't stay on the back foot forever. God damn it, I think like that we've already lost. I have the Warrior of Light at my side. We can do this. Isn't that right, Edgar? Use the duty action, deflect, disperse the ether spheres. Lakshmi releases during battle. Be warned that allowing an ally to be enthralled by an ether spell will result in failure. I don't remember how hard this is.
shall free you from your hate!
Damn it all! It's only a matter of time before we miss one.
Or miss them all.
What of it? Do you want to kill this thing or not? Souls weigh heavy?
Vita!
What is this?
I'm only gonna say this once. The Ananta just summoned their primal in the throne room. My friends are fighting her, but they need help. They need someone with the Echo, and by the gods, I wish I had it, but I don't. I told you before that you still had time, but things have changed. I need your answer now. You can end it like Xenos, or you can fight for Alamigo. Your choice.
Those doors always look weird to me. Oh, there's your stolen Thancred.
Seven hells. It's her, the butcher.
It's done. Take me back to my cell.
You are not forgiven. Not you. You I will never forgive. But I will thank you. For standing against a primal and saving us from servitude. You have my thanks.
We get to our fair share of enthralled outside the palace enough to delay us from lending you a timely hand, I'm afraid. I think I shall make a habit of checking for primal influence before our meetings from now on. Lise is certainly living up to her own ideal. Not every commander would choose to enlist a former enemy's aid in battle. Runner-up and I would have lost my will to that fiend for the rest of my days. That's a sobering thought. That was unlike any battle I've ever seen. I'm not entirely sure how I survived, to be honest. You almost didn't, by the looks of your health was. Well fought, Edgar. Are involved. That was a near thing. Our stand against the Koana would have been brief indeed had you not volunteered for guard duty. We've been enthralled as surely as our sentries were. They must have planned this far in advance. Security was my responsibility, and I knew how dangerous primals can be. I should have. It's my fault, my stupid mistake. Nay, lass, we were all caught unawares. We will take this as a lesson and watch our own more carefully in future. You can be sure that the lackeys who smuggled those crystals into the throne room weren't the only thralls in our ranks. The soldiers who first spoke up in favor of the clone keeping their weapons sprung to mind. A primal servant is betrayed by his aura. If you mean to conduct an investigation, I can identify any others acting under Sri Lankshmi's influence. Thanks, Yushola. We appreciate the help. Speaking of help, I almost fell over when Fordola turned up. What was she even doing there? I asked her to come. Oh, that explains it then. It's sad, but Rangford was right. Her victims will never forgive her for what she's done. But I don't think Fordola picked up that sword looking for forgiveness. She just wanted to fight for her country. If you say the word in which Fordola grew up, it's partly to blame for what she became. Then, as an Megan, she's responsible for improving that world. You can't ignore what happened right now. What's happening right now, we have to show people a better way than vengeance, or we risk giving birth to new generations of skulls. I know it's idealist, but I want to help people to let her on their own grievances and make peace with each other. I'll hold 1,000 meetings and talk till I'm blue in the face, if that's what it takes. 'Tis a long and arduous path you have chosen, but one well worth walking. Rest assured that I will do what I can to help you reach your destination. Thank you, Alphino. The first step will be to get our representatives back in the throne room. They're a little shaken, but not one of them seemed ready to run. We're all determined to finish what we've started. I will see that yours not interrupted. Edgar, you and the Scions to stand down. Get some rest. You've earned it. Pandora wants attention.
A fine spot to contemplate the heavens. The meeting is over. The envoys have chosen to instate a government modelled on Ishgard's House of Commons, a ruling body of representatives elected by the people. It is a fair decision, and one which signals the end of my part in all this. But I would gaze upon Girabania's stars one last time before I leave.
It's going to take her a while to get there.
Forget something? Your Grace, there was no word.
Raubon Aldin, you are hereby dismissed as General of the Immortal Flames and relieved of your seat on the Syndicate.
But, Your Grace...
Raubon, I am no longer a child. Stay here in your homeland. Work with your brethren. Rebuild Alamigo.
You desire to stand alone. I understand, but remember what happened.
I remember full well the consequences of my naivety, and thus did I consult at length with a most trusted advisor ere I embarked upon this course.
A most trusted advisor? And what of me? Am I no longer deserving of your confidence?
What trust can there be between us when you withhold the truth from me? Did you think me oblivious to the anguish in your eyes when you spoke of returning to Uldar? For years and years, we have trusted one another. Yet now you refuse to confess your heart's desire?
I swore an oath to you that day on the sands. I pledged my sword.
And it has served me well. But in Pippin you have forged a new sword, as sharp and deadly as the blade you bequeathed him. I will show you a Sultana who can wield every weapon at her disposal, including Lolorito and his monetarist cronies. So follow your heart, please. You are home. You are free.
None more.
Smile for me, Raubon. I would have this parting be a joyous one.
Thank you, Your Grace. It has been an honor to serve you and Uldar.
Tomorrow you will serve Alamigo and fight for the good of all Eorzea. Am I understood?
Yes, Your Grace.
Arvold is of an age with Fordula, both of them born Alamigo. One never wanted his Garlean blood, and the other tried to become Garlean, but could never be. Similar yet opposite, which would go some way to explain the tension between them. I went to see Fordula in her cell again. She did turn the tide of the battle after all, and I thought the only right to thank her. But she wouldn't listen. She said she neither wanted nor needed my gratitude, and that I should go away. I don't know if I'll ever understand her.
Thanks for shielding us from Lakshmi, you two. If you hadn't been there, the rest of us would be worshipping her by now.
You're kind to include me, Lise, but we both know who did most of the work. I could scarce keep track of the battle, let alone land a telling blow. No shame in admitting it. The Warrior of Light has put far better men than me in the shade.
Did I mention that I encountered the Sultana in the palace? It would seem Her Grace has come to Girabania to oversee the final stages of her relocation project. She was in search of General Oldin, and I directed her to the rooftop garden. I do hope he was still there.
Are you in the habit of gossiping about the affairs of royalty, Master Leveilleur?
Certainly not, Your Grace. I was merely informing my companions.
Beatrice, Alphino, 'twas only a jest. But I must yield the floor to Raubahn. He has an important announcement to make.
And before that, one last check to make sure that the recording didn't crash.
As of yesternight, I have been relieved of my post in the Immortal Flames and the Syndicate both.
I shall be assuming my father's duties. And may I say that Tizona has never felt heavier upon my back.
He a tiny blade.
'Twould seem I am in need of employment. Mayhap one of my old acquaintances can introduce me to a mercenary company or some such.
Wait, does that mean his class is Dark Knight, since he needs both his hands to wield that weapon? Or is he still a gladiator? What is Pippin's class?
You may be getting on in years, Father, but you'd struggle to find a band of sellswords who wouldn't snap your hand off. Your remaining hand.
Yes, the bull of Alamigo need not be put out to pasture just yet.
Your Grace has developed a wicked edge to her humor, and you, Pippin, would do well not to laugh when the future may hold the same for you.
So, does this mean you're staying?
Aye. That seems to be the way of it. I would be glad to aid you in rebuilding our nation, if you'll have me.
If, he says. Welcome home, Raubahn.
Well, that was unexpected. Though you seem distinctly unsurprised. Either you're more astute than I give you credit for, or I'm losing my touch.
Yes.
In any event, one thing is certain. Alamigo will rejoice at the homecoming of her dearest son.
The answer to your Alphino question is yes. I think it's about time I headed back to Ruggles Reach. What's next for all of you? Adaze will be eager to hear recent events, so I shall join you if no objections. Welcome to company, Edgar. Why don't you come along to the Reach as well once you've said farewell to Anonimo and the others? How did you know I was going to talk to them? I must assume Father's response was without delay, lest our rivals, both inside and outside of the duel, treat his dismissal as a window of opportunity register that they will find Tarzan's edge just as sharp as my hands. It seems my road has come full circle. I appreciate the support you showed for my earlier decision. Overruled though it was. I have asked enough of you, Edgar. My words for you now are those of gratitude. Yeah. Considering Edgar kind of works for you. Kind of? Well, he works for Pippin now. Oh, here we are again. Afno has regaled me with a thrilling tale of hidden treasure troves, meeting betrayals, unlikely alliances, and joyous homecomings. It would seem I missed everything. I was patrolling the palace grounds with Thancred and Y'shtola when we heard the report of the Primal in the throne room. I honestly doubted my own ears. As others have said, we were lucky to have our Echo-blessed companions nearby this time, but we need to keep a closer eye on the Colena. You can say that again. This whole episode has reminded me just how far apart our kinds still are. It looks like centuries of fear and mistrust can't be washed away in a day, but someone has to make an effort at a reconciliation if these conflicts are ever going to end. Naturally, a lot of people are crying out for vengeance, but I'm doing my best to calm things down. Violent reprisals will only lead to more summonings. Indeed, violence will ever beget violence, as the Empire has learned to its cost in recent times. In any case, summoning Lakshmi was the Broodmother's doing, and whoever replaces her might not be so keen on that idea. We'll just have to watch and wait. Which isn't to say that we won't be putting the safety of our allies and the Vira and M tribes first. I plan on having resistance staffs keeping track of the Kolana's movements at all times. My parents will be relieved to hear that. What are your plans for the rest of the resistance army out of interest? Are we prepared for Imperial counterattack? That would be a question for the resistance newest recruit, a military commander with far more experience than me. What, the Bull of Alamigo? We call it an army, but the resistance is still a collection of smaller independent groups. And when Conrad passed his command on to me, the authority would extend to the freedom fighters based in Rolger's Reach. He just happened to be serving as resistance spokesman at the time and needed someone to take over the role while everything was in disarray. By the time has passed, which I speak with the other leaders about reforming the army under the new government. I will be nominating Raban as the overall commander of our forces. He has more experience than the rest of us put together, and we stand to learn a lot from him. Indeed, he's still as respected in the ideal choice. Assuming he accepts the post, Alamigo will have added a formidable weapon to its arsenal. Given the progress of Nomino's resettlement initiative, I see great cause for hope. The seed which we so carefully sowed has begun to quicken, my friends. I like that. We tend to our promises, and we watch as Alamigo blooms. Now we got Tiny Raban. Meanwhile, at Magma Fortress, I do give thanks to the Kami that my makeshift raft withstood the fury of the seas. But their generosity ends. Without coins in our pockets for new attire, we were doomed to look like so much jetsam. Oh, woe betide the poor man in a city of rich merchants. These dodongos are delicious. Will you have one? More sweetbreads? I straighten my blade to secure the few coins we have. Just like talking to a child. Why fate saddled me with this burden I shall never know, but I am alive and I must return to my master's side. Come to, we shall find a ship to carry us across the Ruby Sea. Meanwhile, in the Imperial Palace of Voldemort, have you read the reports? First Doma, then Alamigo, and Lord Zenos put to the sword. Do not believe everything you read. I hear the Viceroy was merely wounded, and that he has already returned to the capital. Naturally, the savages beat their chests and boast loudly of taking his head regardless. Nay, Lord Zenos lives. Deplorable that our own officers would be fooled by yours in misinformation. Small wonder the provinces have begun rising up in rebellion. We must prepare an official and, above all, accurate announcement to quell these pernicious rumors. They would wage war with empty words. Let them produce the Viceroy's remains, then we shall soon put the lie to their claims. And with that, I'll call it there and see you all in the next.